Ladies, let's talk about something powerful. Something that changes the entire game, not just in love, but in life. It's the moment you stop chasing someone who doesn't see your value and instead you walk away. Not in anger, not with drama, but with quiet confidence. Because sometimes the most attractive thing you can do is leave. When you walk away from someone who isn't treating you right, you instantly shift the energy in the relationship. The dynamic changes because you are no longer waiting around, hoping to be seen or chosen. Instead, you become the one who is doing the choosing. You show that your time, your energy, and your love are valuable and not to be taken lightly. That quiet confidence you carry when you decide to walk away speaks louder than any words ever could, and it has a power that pulls people toward you without you having to chase. When you chase someone who isn't meeting you halfway, it often sends the wrong message. It suggests that you place them above yourself, that you see them as more valuable than your own peace and self-respect. But when you stop chasing, you reclaim your worth. You show that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. That kind of self-worth naturally draws people in because it signals strength, boundaries, and high standards, qualities that inspire respect and admiration. Many times, people only begin to realize what they had once it's gone. When you're always available, your value can be overlooked. But the moment you walk away with grace and confidence, it creates a space they didn't know they'd miss. And in that silence, they are forced to reflect. If someone truly values you, they will feel that absence deeply and will be moved to come after you. Not because of pressure or manipulation, but because they genuinely care and now see your worth more clearly. Walking away doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself. Stop settling for less. You deserve mutual effort, honest love, and respect. Staying in a place where you are an option rather than a priority only teaches others that your boundaries can be crossed. By walking away, you teach them otherwise. And if they come back, it will be with more effort and awareness. If they don't, you've just made space for something better. Either way, you've already won by choosing yourself. Chasing someone who doesn't reciprocate your effort sends a silent message that they matter more to you than you matter to yourself. It places them on a pedestal and puts your own value second. When you continuously reach out, compromise your standards, or beg for their attention, you're unknowingly teaching them that your love comes too easily. You're telling them that they don't need to try because you'll always be there, no matter how they behave or how little they give in return. But the moment you walk away, everything changes. It's a quiet but powerful shift. You no longer hand them the position of power, and instead, you claim your own worth. By removing yourself, you say, I know what I bring to the table, and if you don't recognize it, I won't keep reminding you. That statement, even when left unspoken, carries weight. It challenges them to see you in a new light. Because suddenly, you're not chasing, you're choosing. When you walk away, you stop playing the role of someone who waits to be chosen. You become the person who chooses. And in love, that distinction makes all the difference. You let them feel your absence, and you give them the space to realize the gap you once filled. If they truly care, they'll come after you, not because you pushed or persuaded them, but because they now feel the loss of something meaningful. And if they don't come back, that's still a blessing in disguise, because walking away filters out the people who never valued you in the first place. It protects your heart from being drained by someone who would have only taken more. So in choosing to walk away, you're not just protecting your peace. You're declaring that your love is a gift, not a guarantee, and only those who are worth it will rise to meet you where you stand. Men often don't realize the value of what they have until the moment it slips through their fingers. When you are constantly present, always texting first, always showing up with your love and effort, it becomes routine to them. They get used to your presence like it's something that will always be there, no matter how little they contribute. This familiarity breeds complacency, and slowly your consistency begins to be taken for granted rather than cherished. But when you take a step back, something unexpected happens. That absence creates space. Space for reflection, for regret, for realization. The person who once overlooked you starts to notice the silence, the stillness where your energy once filled the gap. Suddenly, they're left alone with their thoughts, and the things they dismissed begin to matter. They remember your kindness, your has been, your effort, your loyalty, and it hits them in a way your presence never could. Walking away doesn't mean you're playing games or trying to manipulate someone into loving you. It simply means you're no longer willing to beg for the bare minimum. You're choosing to stop investing where there's no return, and that choice speaks volumes. It wakes the other person up to what they're at risk of losing. And if your love meant something to them, that realization alone is enough to make them chase after what they once thought would always be there. The truth is, people chase what they fear losing, not what they believe is guaranteed. Your decision to walk away becomes a mirror. They see themselves without your constant support, and it can be uncomfortable, even painful. But that discomfort is necessary. It separates the ones who truly care from the ones who never did. And it allows space for someone to show up for you in the way you've always deserved. Genuinely, willingly, and without having to be asked. Walking away doesn't mean your feelings weren't real or that you suddenly stopped caring. It doesn't erase the effort you put in, the love you offered, or the moments you shared. You cared deeply, and maybe still do. But there comes a point when caring for someone else more than yourself starts to hurt. That's the moment when walking away becomes necessary. Not because you don't feel, but because you've finally chosen to feel for yourself too. When you continue to stay in a situation where you're treated like an option, you slowly chip away at your own self-worth. You begin to question whether you're enough, whether you're asking for too much, or whether love is supposed to feel this way. Uncertain, inconsistent, and unbalanced. But love isn't supposed to make you shrink. It's supposed to make you feel safe, chosen, and appreciated. If someone can't meet you there, then staying only teaches them that you'll settle for less. Choosing to walk away is one of the hardest things to do when your heart is still involved, but it's also one of the most powerful acts of self-respect. You're not walking away from them, you're walking toward your peace, toward clarity, toward the version of you that knows she deserves more than being treated like a backup plan. And in that decision, you reclaim the love you've been trying to give to someone else and finally offer it to yourself. It's important to understand that walking away isn't about winning or proving a point. It's about aligning with your worth. It's saying, I won't stay where I'm not valued. And in that quiet act of strength, you remind yourself and others that your love is not something to be mishandled. It's something to be earned, cherished, and respected. That's not weakness, power. Sometimes silence says more than 1,000 words ever could. When someone doesn't treat you the way you deserve, constantly explaining yourself or arguing for your worth often falls on deaf ears. No matter how clearly you try to communicate, if they're not ready to listen or value you, your words become background noise. That's when silence becomes your strongest statement. Walking away quietly, without drama, can deliver the message far more effectively than any emotional outburst ever will. By removing your presence, you create a noticeable shift. The space you once filled with your energy, attention, and effort suddenly becomes empty. They may not notice it right away, but over time, the silence grows louder. It makes them think. It forces them to sit with the consequences of their actions or lack of effort the apology has been. That stillness you leave behind can echo in their thoughts more deeply than any words you could have spoken. Silence doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It means you're wise enough to protect your peace. You stop giving explanations to someone who never truly heard you. You stop wasting your breath justifying your value to someone who should have seen it from the start. When you step away without needing to prove anything, it shows that you've made peace with yourself and your decision. You're not seeking closure or validation. You're choosing dignity over desperation. Letting your absence speak is one of the most confident things you can do. It gives them the chance to reflect, to recognize, and, if they truly care, to act. And if they don't, your silence becomes the boundary that saves you from further disappointment. Either way, you speak volumes by walking away quietly. You say, without a single word, the NA that you know your worth. And that's a message no one can ignore. Real love has always been about mutual effort. It's a dance where both people move in rhythm, meeting each other halfway, showing up with honesty, care, and consistency. When only one person is investing time, energy, and emotion, it stops being a partnership and becomes a one-sided performance. You find yourself giving more than you receive, constantly adjusting, explaining, and working just to hold something together that the other person isn't even trying to save. That kind of imbalance doesn't feel good. It wears you down slowly, making you question your worth and wonder if you're asking for too much. You're not. You're asking for something healthy, as the apology has been. Something fair. Love should never feel like a job you're doing alone. When someone truly values you, once the apology has been, they won't leave you to do all the emotional lifting. They'll be right there with you, has been, building and nurturing the connection together. When you walk away from someone who isn't putting in that effort once the apology has been, it's not because you've given up. It's because you've finally seen the truth. You've recognized that staying in a one-sided relationship only delays the pain and keeps you from finding the love you deserve. Walking away is a powerful way to protect your heart and send a clear message: I won't settle for less than mutual care and effort. And what's beautiful about this decision is that it naturally filters people. The ones who weren't serious, who weren't ready, or who were only benefiting from your constant effort will let you go. But the ones who genuinely care, who maybe got too comfortable or needed a wake-up call, might finally rise to meet you. Either way, you gain clarity, and that clarity will always lead you closer to the love that feels equal, respectful, and real. Confidence has a presence that can't be ignored. It's not loud or boastful. It's calm, sure, and steady. When you walk with confidence, you don't need to explain yourself or beg for someone's attention. You carry yourself like someone who knows their worth, who doesn't chase approval, and who refuses to settle for crumbs. That kind of energy is magnetic. People notice it. They may not always be able to describe it, but they feel it the moment you walk into a room or choose to walk away from one. On the other hand, neediness pushes people away when your actions come from fear. Fear of losing someone, fear of being alone, fear of not being good enough. It shows a constant calling, texting, or overanalyzing every little interaction can feel overwhelming to the other person and exhausting to you. It creates pressure instead of peace, tension instead of trust. And over time, what could have been a beautiful connection starts to feel like a burden. Desperation makes you chase, even when your heart is tired. It makes you ignore red flags, lower your standards, and accept behavior that doesn't align with your true value. But confidence changes the story. Confidence allows you to pause, to evaluate, to step back when necessary. It reminds you that love isn't about convincing someone to choose you. It's about showing up as your true self and trusting that the right person will recognize your worth without you having to prove it. Even in silence, a confident woman leaves a lasting impression, not because she tried to be unforgettable, but because she simply stayed true to herself. Her calm detachment says, "I don't need to force anything. If it's meant for me, it will come willingly." That kind of inner strength is rare and beautiful. It invites respect, not pity, and it makes the right person not only notice, but chase. If someone genuinely values you, your absence will not go unnoticed. When you walk away, it gives them a moment to reflect without distractions. It allows them to truly consider what they had has been, what they lost, and what you meant to them. If their feelings were real and their intentions sincere, they will feel that space deeply. They will begin to understand that you were never chasing to gain attention. You were giving your all because you cared. And when you take that care away, they're left with the reality of what they let slip through their fingers. Not everyone will come after you, and that's something you have to prepare yourself for. Some people weren't meant to stay. They were temporary lessons, not permanent partners. When they don't chase you, has been. Don't mistake it as a sign that you weren't enough. It's simply proof that they weren't ready, willing, or mature enough to meet your energy. And instead of holding on to their potential, you've freed yourself from even more wasted time and heartache. Walking away becomes a silent test. You're not waiting by the phone. You're not holding your breath. And you're not putting your life on pause. You're observing, bin. You're watching who steps forward and who fades away. The ones who truly care, who truly see your value, it will not hesitate to come find you. They'll want to correct things, to talk, to make the effort you were once making alone has been. An effort will reveal everything you need to know. This isn't about manipulation or making someone chase you for the sake of power. It's about clarity. It's about knowing who's real and who was just comfortable. The moment you walk away, you stop guessing and start knowing. Whether they return or not, you win. Because either you're reunited with someone who's ready to love you the right way, or you're released to find someone who will. People learn how to treat you based on what you allow. Apology has been. If you keep accepting poor communication, disrespect, or emotional inconsistency, you unintentionally show them that you'll stay regardless of how they behave. Over time, once the apology has been, they become comfortable giving you less because they've seen that you won't leave. You've taught them that your boundaries are flexible and your standards are negotiable. Even if it hurts you, staying silent or tolerating it creates a pattern that becomes harder to break. But when you walk away, you draw a clear line. You show that there are limits to what you'll accept and that your love isn't something to be misused. Leaving isn't about punishing the other person. It's about honoring yourself. It sends a quiet but firm message that your time, energy, and heart are too valuable to be wasted. It tells them that if they want access to you, they have to show up with consistency and has been, respect, and real effort. Boundaries aren't walls meant to shut people out. The apology has their doors only open for those who knock with respect. When you walk away, you're not closing yourself off to love. You're inviting in the right kind of love the apology has been. You're making space for someone who won't need constant reminders about how to treat you because they'll already value the kind of person you are. Apology has been. Walking away helps reset the energy and clears out those who were only half-hearted. In the end, the way you allow others to treat you reflects the way you see yourself. If you believe you deserve more, you'll stop settling for less. You'll stop making excuses for people who only show up when it's convenient. Walking away isn't weakness, it's strength in action. It teaches others that you're not afraid to be alone rather than poorly treated. And once they realize that, once the apology has been, only those who truly respect you will try to step back into your life. Once the apology has been, your life doesn't come to a halt because someone walks away. It may feel like everything has stopped in the moment. The routines, the conversations, the plans built around them. But life keeps moving forward, and so should you. It's natural to grieve the space they once filled, but their absence does not take away your worth. You were whole before them, and you remain whole even after they're gone. The pain you feel is temporary, but the strength you build from choosing yourself will last. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that your value is tied to who chooses to stay in your life. When someone leaves, especially someone you deeply cared for, it can make you question everything about yourself. But the truth is, you are not defined by who decides to walk away. You are defined by how you respond to that loss. Do you break apart or do you rise from it? That choice belongs to you, and within that choice lies your real power. Choosing yourself in the midst of heartbreak is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. But it's also the most liberating. It's the moment you stop waiting for someone else to validate your importance. You begin to find beauty in your own company, pride in your resilience, and clarity in your direction. With time, the sadness begins to fade, and in its place, confidence starts to grow, has been. You realize that being left doesn't mean you were lacking. It simply means that chapter of your life is done. When you finally choose yourself, you begin to attract everything that aligns with who you truly are. Healthier relationships has been, better opportunities, and a deeper peace start to unfold because you've made space for them. The right people will see your value without needing to be convinced. And when they arrive, you'll no longer fear being left behind because you'll know that no matter who comes or goes, you will always have yourself. And that's more than enough.